Hello, everyone. Welcome to today's webinar session. My name is Joel, and with me is Ricky. We're both part of the customer success team here with WeVideo. And as you know, today's webinar will be focusing on the editor and the editor specifically. So we'll go through features, how to do certain things like green screen, to give everyone an idea of how to actually edit now that you have access to WeVideo. A few notes before we get started. The first is everyone is currently muted, and that's gonna, be the case for the duration of the session. We have a good amount of attendees today, with more possibly, joining down, during this time. So it could get chaotic if everyone's, trying to ask questions at the same time, at least with voice. So we do have a question section there in your GoToWebinar control panel. You'll see there it says questions. Feel free to use that, type away in there. We'll both get them. Ricky here will be answering them as we go. So, feel free to use that as much as you need with any questions. At the end, I'll connect with Ricky and we can go over anything, any major questions, or, if there was a certain one that kept coming up, we can talk about that as well. So with that, I'll go ahead and get started. I'm gonna start by sharing my screen. Just give me 1 second here. Okay, so now everyone should be seeing my screen. I'm logged into WeVideo accounts, perfect. So now Ricky and I are both gonna remove the webcam just so you have the full view during the actual session. So we can go ahead and do that now, Ricky. Perfect, and we'll go ahead and get started. Again, quick note, I did see a couple of attendees jump here last second. Everyone is muted. However, you do have the ability to ask questions. In your control panel, you have a question section. Please use that to type questions in there. Ricky will answer those via typing. That way, everyone gets all those questions answered. We'll go through some at the end as well if needed. And again, everyone, welcome. Today's focus is on the editor. So let's go ahead and get started. So here I am in my WeVideo account. I'm gonna jump into an edit that I opened earlier and go right in here. So again, I know some of you may be new. It may be the first time you're using WeVideo. We do have other sessions that focus on account setup and other things as an admin, as a teacher. Today's focus will be solely on the editor. So if you want to see other features of WeVideo, how to set up your account, how to do certain things, we advise you to please sign up to one of our other webinars. We have them weekly. And join to learn those other areas and functions of WeVideo. With that said, let's go ahead and get started. This is the editor, of course. Let me quickly show you around so you know exactly where things are. It's divided into 3 sections. The top left one here is where you're gonna have all of your assets, media, text, transitions, all that good stuff that you're actually gonna use with your edits. You can see here there's a couple of different tabs, and of course you can use these to access the different areas that we have available. The first here is the stock media. We have over 1 million assets of videos, images, music, sound effects, audio files that you can all use in here. It's searchable. Of course, you have this search bar here, and you can also filter via the actual media type here. This is all free, all accessible to everyone, including students, and you can of course use this stock media along with your own media to put your videos together. I'll quickly show you how easy it is. Let's say I wanted to get a clip of the moon. I can simply search moon, and then I can find these different clips that are tied to that term, and then find the one that I like to use in my edit. All of this media is royalty free. That means you can use it as much as you like. If you publish a video with this media and share it to YouTube or other third-party sites, that's totally fine. There's not going to be any issues there. Nothing that you run into on that end. The little hearts here represent favoriting you know, any clip that you may like. So if you come across, here's an example, I favored this one here at some point. So you can favorite these, and then all of them will live here in the little heart section, where you can find all of your favorite clips that you've, you know, that you favorite down or during your time in WeVideo. The last thing that I'll mention regarding the stock media is that we have filtered out, you know, terms that are inappropriate. So, you know, feel free to let your students use this as needed. You know, it is filtered. If at any point you did come across any clip or you know, file in here that you deemed inappropriate, you can remove it simply by right-clicking on the clip and then clicking this remove and report. We're gonna get a, you know, that report that it was removed. Once you remove the clip, it's removed from everyone in your account. So no one else in your subscription, whether it's a teacher, student, admin, even the owner, will be able to see that clip that you deemed, you know, inappropriate. Next to stock media is my media, which is where you're gonna find all of your media. So anything that you've uploaded to your own account is gonna live in here. Notice there's a couple of folders here. My media, of course, is your own media. So these are all of the assets that you've uploaded onto your account, you know, sometime, you know, in the past before jumping into the editor. If you have access to the shared folder, there is a shared media folder where you can share media with all of the account users. You can find that in here as well. You may or may not have access to this shared folder. This is a permission that your admins will need to give you. So if you don't have this shared folder, that means currently you don't have access to it. However, you can reach out to your admins and get access if needed. Project media is any media that you've added to any project you're working on. So when you create a project, you can add media to that particular project if you already have, you know, specific files that you want to use. This is where you're going to find the media specifically tied to this particular project. So in my case, when I created this project, I added these assets, and now I have them accessible here in the project media section. Notice on the top here, you can also import other media if needed, record, if you needed to do any form of recording, you can do webcam and record yourself. You can do screencasting and record your screen, or you can do both at the same time. When you record, you also have the ability to record your voice, so you can do you know, narrations as needed as well. If you do record, your file will be saved here in the media section, and then you can go ahead and use it in your edit if needed. Notice you can also click the narrate button in case you need to do any form of voiceover or something like that. We of course have text features. So you need to add text to your videos. You can find tons of text in here. You can see here the preview window also previews sort of what the text does if it does have any form of animation. So there's tons of text to look through here. You can of course change the color of the text, the size, you know, the text font itself, that type of thing. I'll showcase this as we move forward here. This is where you're going to find all the text. So some of it does have, as you can see here, motion. Some of it is static, it doesn't move. So there's tons to look through here and use. We have these in season call outs, cards for different times of the season, call outs. So tons to work with here, you know, as you build your videos. The audio here has music and sound effects. At some point, we're gonna move all of this music to the stock media section. For now, this is all of the audio that we had prior to us introducing the stock media. So it lives here in the audio section. At some point, we probably will be moving it to stock media. For now, this is essentially extra audio that you can find, music, sound effects, that type of thing. Again, you can search, you know, in here, in the sound effects, you can see that you can have a range of different types of effects, that type of thing, premium music, etc. Just like our stock media, this audio section is all free to use. You can use as much as you want. It's all royalty free. You're good to go on that end. Next, we have some transitions, fairly straightforward here. You can select and view one before you use it, of course. So you can go down here and search for the one that you need. Here we have additional as well. And then backgrounds, in case you want to put something in the background of any video or something like that. We have backgrounds that animate, like these. We have solid just colors. We have some overlays that you can put on top of your videos. So tons of cool features, fun things that you can do, with these backgrounds as well. So this section here holds all of the content that you're actually going to use. As you probably guessed by now, the right-hand side here, this screen is your preview screen. Anything that you click on, you can preview it before you actually use it on the edit and throw it here on the editor. This screen can be resized. So you notice these 3 dots there. If you go with your cursor here, you can move it depending on the size of your screen. If you're on a laptop or if you're on a monitor, you'll be able to, of course, make it bigger or smaller depending on the size available to you. You can also preview your music here and play it here. On the bottom, of course, we have the actual editor. You'll notice that there's video and audio files. You can always add more tracks if needed. So if you click this plus sign here, you can add either a new track for video or a new track for audio. This is great because you can have unlimited tracks, which means you can use them and take advantage doing green screen, picture-in-picture, and really get creative with the way you use the tracks here. In the video tracks, you're gonna throw in most of your media, videos, pictures, transitions, text, that type of thing. The audio track is for audio files, music, sound effects, that type of thing. Now, again, I just want to quickly remind everyone that we do have a questions section in the GoToWebinar control panel. So, but please, if you have questions, type them in there. Ricky, who's also on the call, will be answering them as needed. So now that we've gone through, the layout of the editor, we can start going into how you actually edit and put things together. Before I do that, I quickly want to show you one thing. You notice this little sandwich icon up here. It's a menu section. I quickly want to show you that you can also edit it in Storyboard. So here I have the ability to switch to Storyboard. Storyboard mode is, sort of the starter version. It's one track where you simply drag and drop items. You can just throw them in here and you just sequence your clips in the right order. This is a more limited editor, of course. Built for younger kids. If you're using, within younger kids in elementary, typically K through 2, use this, and then 3rd and above can start to use the full-on editor. You won't have access to all of the features in Storyboard mode. So for the most part, you'll probably be in timeline getting the full-fledged features. With that, let's go ahead and do some editing so I can show you, how you actually go and maneuver in here. Really, it's all about adding and dropping things in the timeline here. For example, if I have a clip here from the stock media, you can, of course, view it here, and then you can just drop it where it needs to go. Depending on the length of clips that are video, you're gonna have, the length here. Notice that, this one's pretty lengthy. It's 20 seconds, you can see here. If you want to sort of crop it, you can in a few ways. One thing you can also do is crop the view here. Notice the plus, I can zoom in, or with the minus, I can zoom out. If I zoom all the way out, I see the full clip here of 20 seconds. To actually crop the clip itself, if you only wanted to use a portion of it, you can do it a few ways. If you wanted to, let's say, use the beginning to the middle here, what you can do is set the cursor exactly where you need to be. If you zoom in, it might be easier to actually, work with the clip. Once you find the place that you need, you can simply clip the scissors here. This will separate the clips now in half. If you don't need the second half, you can simply select it. You can see that it's orange here. Delete it, and now you only have this one to work with. you can then use this anywhere that you need to put it. The other thing you can do is you can just simply go to the end and stretch it out or stretch it in. This is the other way you can crop the clips to put them, where they need to be. You can do the same on either side and, put the clip where it needs to be. Again, when doing this specifically, it probably benefits to zoom in as so you can see the full clip itself and work with it a little easier. For now, I'm going to zoom all the way out. Now, of course, to continue to add to this, edit, you simply just drag things and put them in here. You can leave gaps if you, need some sort of space, or you can simply put them together so that they can be continuous. If you put them together, then you can start using things like the transitions, right, which are super easy to use. Again, you can preview them here. We have tons, as I showed earlier. Once you find the one you like, it's simply dragging it right in between the clips. You see there's a little gap now with that little square telling you that there's a transition. If you want to view it, you can just play this and you can see how the transition is going to go from the astronauts into the moon there. So really easy to work with the clips. It can be images, it can be videos, it doesn't matter what you're using, as you bring in these clips in here. So that's how you can start to build your edits. If you want to, take it up a notch, you can start to add text. So for example, if I want text to be here in this clip with the moon, I can go ahead and grab the text box that I like and grab it and drop it right here, right above the moon. Now, the reason why I'm putting it above the moon is because the layer at the top is going to show here in your screen. So because the moon layer is in the bottom and the text is on top, I can view the text here. If I switch these as a quick example, and I put the moon on top with the text on the bottom, now I won't be able to see the text because the moon clip is overtaking everything. So it's important to know that depending on the way you layer things, you may be blocking things. So text itself will always be at the top for the most part, right? And then your main clips can be on the bottom layer. So now if I bring text here, I can put it here. I can match the length of the clip if I want to. I can extend this as far as I need to, depending on any limits that this clip has on time. Because this is a motion clip, you can see here it's only going to be able to extend a few seconds. Or actually now we've changed it. Now we can extend it as much as we need to. Perfect. So now go ahead and put this clip here. Now I have text above the moon clip, and now I can see it here. To edit this text itself, you can double click on the text box. That's gonna bring me right in here where I can do things like change the color of certain things. So there we go, I changed it to red. I can change the text itself to anything I might like. And then you see here the size as well. You can also resize over here the text box itself and move it and place it anywhere that you need to. And actually, you can also scale here as well. Now the actual text, right, you can do here. So let's say I just want to say moon, and I want it right there. Save the changes. Now I can play this and see this clip, with the motion that the text has and the moon itself, the clip there. If I want it shorter, I can of course just shorten this and make it pop in and pop out. So here I can demo that I have the moon clip there, the text comes in, and because I have the clip shortened, then the text goes out and I still see the moon clip there. So you can play with the duration of the clips itself as you add and put the clips as needed. Now, So that's sort of the basic editing, right? Put things in the right sequence. You can add text to the top layers here, and transitions, etc. If you wanted to add music, you of course can do that as well. You can find a song that works for you here. I'll lower the volume here on my end. Now I'm not sure if you can actually hear the music playing on your end. I'm listening to it here. If I like this clip, perfect. I simply drag it and drop it right into the audio file. Of course, you can use a whole clip, or you can trim it down to only be as the length of your edit so far. Now for the audio itself, you'll notice that there is this blue line. This represents the volume, so you can bring it down if you want the volume to be not as loud. Of course, you see the percentage there, or you can also use it to do fade ins and fade outs. To do this, what you can do is, so for example, if you wanted to fade in, you can start at the bottom, and now what you can do is click anywhere on the blue line. You're gonna get a new dot there, and then you'll see that it'll fade in. If you wanna do a fade out at the end, you can click anywhere on the blue dot or on the blue line, you get a new dot, and now that's the point sort of where it starts to fade out. So there's tons you can do here. You can of course adjust this as needed. If you want to fade your music in, out, etc. So now here in this example, I have a clip. It has music in the background. It's fading in and out. I have a transition. You see the astronauts there. The transition comes into play. We have a new clip, and then the text comes in. Really easy to navigate and put together. So now there's tons you can do with WeVideo, of course, and get creative with the way you use your text, your transitions, your video clips, all that good stuff. One of the things that we always get asked is, can you do green screen? How do you do green screen? The answer is yes, of course, you can do green screen. And I want to quickly demo that using some of the techniques that I already used for this clip. We can do the same for green screen. So now I have a green screen clip that I use typically, and I have it here in my project media. So the first thing that you're gonna need for your green screen is a green screen clip, right? You can record yourself. This here we have a student recording, and to put this together, you of course need a solid background. It doesn't need to be green. Typically you see green or blue being used. You can do this with a blank wall as long as it's the same color. You don't need a green screen itself. The only tips here is make sure you're not using the same color clothing. So in this case, it's green with white, perfect. Try to remove any shadows in your background, because shadows could affect the green screen effect. Lighting, the better lighting you have, of course, so you can try to tweak with that as well. And then of course, make sure it's a solid wall. Again, it doesn't necessarily have to be green. So here is the clip that I'm going to use for the example today. I put it here in the track. Now, the reason why I put it in video track 2 is because the effect of the green screen is with layering. So when I remove the green from the background, whatever is on the bottom layer is what's going to take over. So in this case, I'm putting the green screen on track 2 or video track 2, so that video track 1 has either the image or the video that I want to showcase in the background. So let's go ahead and take a video. I'm going to use one from my stock media here. I actually have one saved here in my favorites, this cool rocket takeoff. So I'm going to get this rocket takeoff and put it in the background here. So now I simply grab this and I'm going to put it again on the bottom layer. Now you can stretch this as far as it goes. In this case, it's only 17 seconds. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get my student clip and match that. Perfect. So here we have the 2 layers. The bottom one is the rocket. The top one is the green screen. Right now you can't see the rocket here, of course, because the top green screen clip is sort of overtaking that layer. However, when I remove the green, the rocket will show. Let me show you how to do that. So I'm going to go and I'm going to double click my green screen clip here. This is going to take me here inside of the green screen clip itself. You can do a few things in here. I'll show you some of them in a second. The one I'm looking for is this color keying one, this tab here. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna click on the selector, and then I'm gonna go over here. You'll notice that my mouse became the selector, and I'm gonna simply select anywhere on the green color. As soon as I do that, WeVideo knows to remove all of the green. You'll notice right off the bat that the back or the bottom layer is now visible. In this case, the rocket. So now I can see what's in the background. Now, if you want to continue to edit this further, what you can do is click this mask button, and now this is showing you what is being removed. So in this case, the black is what was the green. Now, depending on how good your green screen recording is, you might have some blurry vision or blurry areas here. You can always, adjust as needed with these tools. You probably can't see too much change right now because my green screen recording was, pretty good for the most part. But if yours isn't perfect, you can, improve it here with these tools. And then go back to the image to see the actual result. Now, right now, what I'm gonna do, because my student is covering most of the screen, is I'm actually gonna go over to my transform button here, and using this scale, I'm actually gonna just shrink them down a little bit because I wanna see that rocket launch in the back. So what I'm doing here is I'm essentially bringing down the size of the green screen clip. The green is removed already. So now all you see is my student, and I can resize him here. I can even make him bigger. This looks pretty good. And then you can even move him to a new position in here. So I'll put him right here. So in this case, maybe my student is talking about a rocket launch, and now the rocket launch can be viewed in the background. You can do other things in here. As you can see, you can rotate him back and forth. You can flip him, obviously move him around. So you can do tons in here. If there's volume, you have access to the volume in here as well. Notice that you can go beyond 100% in case the volume recording wasn't the best. I'll go into animation later a little bit here. For now, let's just leave them as is. I'll click Save Changes, and now if I play this clip, you'll see that it's my student talking about the rocket in the background. So you can have videos in the back. It can be images as well, and there you go. Now we can continue to edit this further. For example, if we add a third layer here, we can actually add another image or video to this clip. So let's say he's, talking about, the moon or, the moon landing or something like that. I can find a clip here of the moon landing, and then I can go ahead and use this. Here's another one here in my actual clip. So let me show you how to do this. This is called picture-in-picture, where you have multiple images or videos playing at once. So I'm gonna grab this clip of my astronaut, and I'm gonna drag it right here to my third layer. Now, the reason I'm bringing it to my third layer is because I'm gonna add it to my clip, and I want my student and my rocket to still show. Now, I'm gonna trim this a little bit to reach or to be the same size. Now, right now, because this is the third layer, the only thing that you see is the moon landing clip. It's overtaking everything. However, just like my student, we can resize this clip by double clicking on it. We're here in the scale, scaling this down a little bit here. And now I can put it, let's say, right here. If I save the changes, everything sticks as is. Now, because I rescaled this, I can see everything together. The reason why I put this one at the top is because it's, smaller. If I put it anywhere below here, you wouldn't be able to see the astronaut there. So now if I play this together, you can see that everything plays at the exact same time. You can add a fourth video layer and put another image or video here as needed. So you can do a lot of creative things here. If I want my video of the astronaut to pop in and then pop back out, what you can do is trim it down to wherever it's needed. And then you can either start it with the clip so that it starts there, and then when it reaches, when the play play or reaches the end, the video, of course, is going to pop out, and then my student and the rocket will remain. You can see that there. Or what you can do is have it pop in and pop out in the middle of the clip. So I'll do that here. I'll shorten this really quickly. I'll move this towards the beginning. And then once I play, you can see pops in. There you can see the video of the astronaut. Then once it reaches the end, it disappears again. So you can add other images here, or you can add other layers. So I'll add a fourth layer as an example. And I can show you how you can have, multiple clips playing at once. So I guess I got the duration there. Let me add this other one here. So I can add it to my top layer. There you go. So again, now I'm using a fourth clip. This fourth clip is, of course, covering everything. All I have to do is double click in here. Again, I can scale it down. And now, just a little further. Now I can put that right there. Obviously, you can match the sizes, by playing around with the scale. Save changes. And now I have, sort of that Brady Bunch effect, right? Where you have multiple things playing together at once. As this gets going, my laptop is overheating a little bit, so it's probably affecting that. But now you can see here, nonetheless, how you can, put this together. So you can get very creative, use transitions, of course. I can throw in the fifth layer of text, a text box, what have you, and get really creative with the way you start to build your edits here. Now, I quickly want to show you another one of our features, which is our animation. To do this, I'm going to go and get a clip from our stock media really quickly. I'm going to keep going with this theme here of the moon or space. So I have my moon clips here. Let me switch to images because I want to do this with an image. And I'll go ahead and I'll use this one. Well, let's see. Well, I guess it doesn't really matter. Let's just go ahead and grab this one. So now I bring an image and I bring it here. Again, I'm not doing a video per se in, here together. I'm just showing you different functions with different sort of sections of the timeline. So this is not going to be a full video that plays seamlessly. Now with images, because it's an image, you have no restrictions on the size, right? So you can make this as long as you need to. This particular image is, of course, still. You'll notice when I play it, nothing is happening. It's just an image, right? However, you can add animations to it and to sort of, spice it up a little bit. So to do this, I'm going to double click on the moon clip here. I'm going to go in here. Of course, here I can do the whole thing with scaling, resizing the clip itself. But what I'm going to focus on here is the animation. So the way this works is you have a start and an end point. So you can think of this sort of as doing a zoom in or zoom out. So for example, if I want to do a zoom out effect, what I can do is I can start my start point really zoomed in. So I'm scaling into the moon clip here. This is where the clip is going to start. And then the end can be right there, the zoomed out version. I can even scale it back out further if needed. So it'll start here, it'll end there. I click Save Changes. When I play this, you'll notice that you have that animation, right? A zoom in of the moon, and then now it's backing out. You can, of course, do this the opposite way, vice versa. Start with the clip out here. So we can do a zoom out there, and then it's going to end really zoomed in here into the moon. So if I click Save Changes, I can click play, and now you can see we get that effect, right, of the zoom in. So you can use this, to add some, highlights to an image or, to a certain part of the video itself. Now, the next thing that I want to show you is how you can actually speed up or slow down your clips. So to do this, let's see, I'm going to use one of my media. Let's go ahead and use this match being turned on. I can preview it here. You can tell that the match is already slowed down. So this clip was already slowed down itself. You can see there when I played, it's fairly slow already. I haven't done anything to the clip. The clip itself is just slow. However, you can speed it up or slow it down even further. So to do this, I'm gonna first bring my clip in here, and then I'm gonna double click on the clip itself. Here I am. Of course, you have that sort of same navigation section, right? And this time where I'm gonna go is to this one titled speed. So now the clip itself is already fairly slow. You see down here, there's a value section. On the left, slowest, on the right, fastest. So if I move my cursor here, to the fastest section, and then you can see here sort of what that's gonna look like. You can see there that I've sped up my clip. It's no longer slow motion. So now when I play it, it's now fast, right? I can do the opposite with this as well. If I bring it slow, now it's gonna be really slow. It was already slow to begin with. And you'll notice that the clip here increased in length. It increased in length time-wise because now it's gonna take longer for it to play. I can show you what that's gonna look like here at the actual point of the match lighting up so you can see. Now let's scoot it up further here. Depending on what you're filming, you can really see the match itself sort of, go there in this case. Right? Pretty cool there. So you do have the ability to speed up, slow down, and you can add this to the way that you're going to use, your edits, together here. Bring this back down and get the full view here. Perfect. Now, the one thing I forgot to mention during my green screen example is, well, I did mention the picture-in-picture, right? So you can here, for example, create the Brady Bunch effect simply by, so here instead of using the moon clips, you could use other people, right? And create the Brady Bunch effect that way. Want to make sure I didn't forget that just because we do get questions on that one a good amount of the time. Now, I hope if there have been questions, you have been using the text here with Ricky. Again, everyone, please feel free to submit questions as needed via the question bar in the control panel. You can go ahead and do that. Ricky will answer those as needed. Now, one thing that I also want to show you here, we have a couple of different things, different demos for the different features that I've showed. Your video tracks here can be either shrunken down to save space. Of course, if you shrink them down, you're not going to be able to view everything. You can, of course, keep them in their standard view here, sort of the medium, and then you can bring them up completely. If you increase them to the biggest capacity here, and you have here, for example, audio files, you would be able to see the audio in here, and I guess I can actually just go ahead and show you what that looks like. Since we are actually demoing here, so let's see, I believe this one has audio. Yeah, right, so here you go, right? So here you can see the audio of the clip. You see the clip here, and then down here you see the audio. Now, if you want to work with the audio, you can click these little icons there. Or whoops, that's for the opacity, which I'll get to in a second. This audio here itself, you can work with it here, or you can work with it by double clicking in here, going to the audio, and then you can decide, those fade ins, fade outs, and then the audio piece here as well. I will not make any changes right now. So now, let me go ahead and bring this back down. The other thing you can do here is And here, let me do that one more time. It might be a little difficult to see. So here in this little arrow drop down, this is where you change the size of the tracks. And then you have these three dots here. If you click these three dots, you can do certain things, including, delete the track. You can mute a full track in case you had, let's say music playing in the background and you wanted everything to be muted. You can mute the whole track itself here. What I wanted to show is this one that says show levels. If I click on that here, whoops, and I want to do it on this track here. You can see over here on the right hand side, I can now see this green clip. This is the opacity. This is essentially the way you can sort of make transparency clips within your video. So let me demo that here for you guys. Let's see, what clip should I use? Let's just use the cookies. I'm gonna grab my cookie clip and I'm gonna put it right above here, our teacher. And so now obviously because the cookie clip is at the top, it's overtaking the bottom layer, in this case, the person talking there. So now if I click again, and you can do this over here, show levels, or by clicking this icon. This green line again is the opacity. Right now it's at 100%. If I start to bring this down, it's going to become transparent. So now you can see that although the cookie clip is at the top layer, it's getting some transparency. I can maybe bump it up a little more so you can view it better. And so it's kind of merging into both clips. So if you play this, you can see the cookies in the background sort of with that opacity level gone down. So this is a way you can sort of merge two clips together. Depending on what you're trying to do, you can bring down the opacity to one or the other, and sort of get that blend-in effect that you see here. You move it all the way up, then of course it goes back to normal and it becomes solid again. So now the cookies overtake this clip of our teacher there. With that, I want to open it up to any questions that may be there. I'm not sure if you all have been, submitting questions. So I want to ask Ricky if you can unmute yourself, and let us know if there's been any questions, anything in particular that they've been asking that we may want to cover here, as we sort of come towards the end of the demo.
Yeah, so we have some awesome questions, some great feedback as well. I guess the one that that really stood out is templates. Can you actually show and demo a template that's possible?
Sure, so let's go out of here. And also one thing that I do want to mention, you saw me exit the clip. WeVideo is saving your work in the back end. So when I exited out, it was already saved. At times, as you're exiting, you might get a pop-up window that says, do you want to save changes to your edit? Go ahead and click yes, of course, if you want to save them. It saves every couple of minutes, so you might catch it in the time when it hasn't saved yet. Now for the templates themselves, let's see. Let's do the read aloud. I think this is a good one. It's one of our newer ones. So when you start in edit from the shortcuts, you're gonna need to save that particular edit in one of your projects. So in this case, I am going to save it in this one that I created today. Start editing. So this is the template itself, right? This is the way it looks like. We give you sort of the building blocks, in this case, to a read aloud. And the way this works is, we give you, of course, you can change some of these things, right? You can click on here, as I showed, to change, the title of the book, author, the colors, all that good stuff. In this case, we're using this background. And now as a teacher, of course you can update all these different blocks. For yourself, what you can do is as you're reading, a particular book, in this case, it's a read aloud, this is where you would, introduce your clips, right? So here's an example of what that looks like. When you're ready to introduce your own clip, you can edit these, right? So you can remove them and then introduce. So for example, I'll use a clip here. Let's say this was you. You can then go ahead and start filtering these as needed. If you need to move things, you can highlight different things at the same time. I'm going to make sure I'm zoomed out all the way to make this easier on me. So now, for example, this clip is coming in, to this next question clip. So what I can do is I can highlight, and actually let me make sure that I don't highlight my teacher clip. So I can highlight all these things together, and then I can move them as needed, right? So now I can move my questions here. So now you can have a read aloud here, as you as a teacher, and then you can use these as guides, right? So now we have a prompt here. You can guide your students in a question, maybe a written response, maybe create a video of yourself answering the question. Then you keep going with the read along here, maybe another section of the book, a new chapter. Of course, you can delete this, bring your own clip, to input here, and then continue to edit that way. You can, of course, add other things, add other questions. These question blocks can be changed if you double click in there. You can see here, you can edit these as needed. So the way these work, these templates work, is we give you sort of the blueprint to a particular type of video, in this case a read aloud, and then you can go in here and edit it as needed to fit your needs. Now, the one thing I haven't covered yet, and I can do this now, I guess, is once you're ready to publish your video, so if I was ready to publish this particular piece, I can click the finish button here, and then I can go through the export process, choosing a thumbnail, choosing my resolution, destinations, if you have any available, you can send them there, and then click export. Once you do that, then the video exports and it's saved in the exports page here. Great questions on the templates there. Anything else, Ricky, that we need to go over or that they were asking about?
Yeah, it was a great question in regards to creating folders for media to help organize. Can you show that?
Yeah, that's a great question. We actually cover that in our teacher webinar. Of course, we can do that here as well. So anything that you upload goes to your media tab here. And then as you can see here, you can create folders. If you don't, then all your media is gonna sort of live like this, right? One giant list of all your media. To create a folder, you can right click anywhere in the gray space, click new folder. You can name this, whatever you like, click create, and then WeVideo creates this folder for you. Now you can go in here and upload directly to this folder. If you already have media in here like this, you can also go in here, right click on the media, click on this move button, and then select the folder that you want to move it to, and then that media would move in there as needed. Again, we go more into specifics on the media and projects in our teacher webinar. So if you want to learn more, more in-depth review on those, we encourage you to join our teacher webinar, and we can go into further specifics there. Other questions, Ricky?
Yep. Let's see. So there was a great question or feature request as well, I feel, is rearranging tracks. But I believe there's a workaround because I don't believe there is a way of rearranging the tracks, correct?
Right, that's correct. So if you go over here, I know this is a feature, that we've sometimes, have heard. So here you can see, right, I think I showed this earlier. If you click in here, this just simply allows you to change the size, and then, I'm showing this because this is sort of like the settings for the tracks, right? So these are your only options here. If you needed to rearrange anything, it would have to be by sort of mass sort of selecting the clips and then maybe bringing them up or down to where they need to go. Or of course, bringing them, over here left, right, or, really anywhere as needed. You can, at that point, if you didn't need a track anymore, delete it, the track itself. But in terms of rearranging up and down or things like that, it would need to be the clips, the media clips themselves that you rearrange within the tracks. That being said, we can bring this up again to our product team, as a future feature request.
Cool. Ready for the next one?
Yep.
All right. So there was a lot of questions in regards to cropping. Again, that is a feature that I believe will be on the roadmap very soon. It's very highly requested. But can you show maybe some like simple workarounds that we can probably, incorporate into WeVideo?
Yeah. So as Ricky mentioned, cropping again is on our roadmap. So a few things you can do, right? One, you can crop somewhere outside of WeVideo and then bring that clip in. Really, the only workaround that you're gonna really get is that scaling feature. So if I go back here, right, and sort of use this here, let me this one was already edited. Let me bring in the new clip to better show this. And this is really going to be sort of what I was showing earlier. So if you go in here, and the scaling thing, right, to where you can scale the clip. Oops, I'm actually scaling the text there. Let me go back and get that out of the way. So if I go in here, right, and I'm scaling, you can see the box, right? There's the box of the actual clip. And of course, you can use the scale there, or you can use, over here. But this is going to be your guide into scaling it into any particular size that you may need. This is what you would need to do right now. Obviously, you can do certain things with the clip here, right? Rotate it. You can fit it to a specific fit. There's positions here to get into a specific position in the clip itself. But that's as far as our feature goes for now. More to come down the road on that. Or again, like I mentioned, you can scale it outside of WeVideo and then upload it already scaled if needed.
Wonderful. And so let's keep going. Storyboard mode. Did you get a chance to demo that out? And yeah.
Yeah, so storyboard mode, I quickly showed it, didn't really demo it much. Let me go ahead and open up a new project in there. So I'm gonna go here, I'm gonna start a new project. Title this test, today's date. I'll do a personal project. So when you start, or actually here, let me start in not a project, but an actual edit. So start an edit in here. So here I am, right? And whenever you go into the editor, it's going to be right here, right? To switch again to storyboard mode, you click this little menu icon up here. And here you can see switch to storyboard. Again, storyboard mode is essentially one track where you can sequence things in a particular order. Notice you still have access to the stock media, that type of thing. So you can bring things in here, oops, and add them. My mouse is not, there we go. Obviously you can bring in your own media also, right? If you want to use your own media as well. Just grabbing random things here for now. And then you bring them here. So this is really more about sequencing things in the correct order. You can always, sort of move them around. You can see there, rearrange them as needed. You can see your text. You can bring text as needed. Double click in here, add your text, filter it, change the color, change the the text itself, change the, whatever you're going to write in there, etc., and, edit it that way. So it's one track where you can put your things as needed, but again, it's going to be a little more limited. It's meant to be for beginner users, and it's really about sequencing things in the right order. Again, typically, I mentioned this earlier, it's for younger students, K through second grade. It doesn't have to be limited to those students. It can be, any student really. Eventually, of course, graduating to the full-on timeline where, of course, you get access to everything as needed.
Okay, great. And
Other
then,
questions, Randy? I'm just deleting these.
yeah, no problem. There was a picture-in-picture question. And you can you just kind of demo and the concept of basically the layers? I had
Yeah.
a few questions in regards to like how many layers. I don't believe there's a limit. I've probably added like
Right.
8 or 9 at one point. That's a lot of layers.
Right.
Um,
Right.
and there's
Yeah. There's.
also the idea of the wall grid that a lot of people
Mhm.
are doing, where people are like doing like
Yeah.
a cappella singing and stuff like
Right.
that.
Right. 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 Yeah. So yeah, so you can do all that. Just to answer some of those questions,
Hmm.
there is
Hmm.
no limit to how many layers you get. Again, you simply click the plus sign here, choose a new, video track, add the track, and then you can continue to grow that list. To do the actual, picture-in-picture Brady Bunch sort of effect, let's see. I'm just gonna go ahead and use this clip. I'll use this one over and over again as an example. Obviously, on your end as a teacher, you probably have multiple students or multiple staff. So the idea here is simple, right? You can grab your students or the clip of whatever users you're going to get. You can put it in the timeline. Now, I'm going to just shorten this a little bit. And the idea here really is to stack them together, right? So for example, again, I'll use the same clip. All right, here, let's make it a little different. I'll bring in this one just to make it a little different. And so again, right now, because they're on top of each other, the one with the blue screen is the one that you see, right? Here, what you're going to do is you want to resize. You can do some green screen effect with this process as well. But essentially what you're doing is, so I'm going to go to, well, I'll start with this one with the top layer. I'm going to double click in here. And I'm going to go here to the transform page and scale him down. And so now what I can do is, let's say I want to put him right there, save changes. Now I go back to my green screen guy here, double click. I can scale him down as well. Put him there, and then I can slowly begin to do that effect, right? You can notice here that there's a number, so you can use the same number of scale for every user to make sure everyone's the same size. And then you can use the position here as well to make sure they're lined up correctly, as opposed to you sort of just moving them right with your mouse. Get some accuracy and get the layers needed. And then you can do this right over and over again. So let's see, I'll get a separate here. It's the same person actually. So if this was my third person, and here, let me get him on screen. There he is. So now I can double click in here again, scale him down. Here we have a third person, and now I can put him here,
I think you can
etc.
also click on show grid on the top right. That will help, I think. If you click on it, show grid
Oh,
on the
right,
top.
right, 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 right.
Boom.
Yeah, you can see a grid there.
Mm-hmm.
Again, so you can use all these tools to do that. And then again, you can use the same number per clip to make sure they're the same size. And then position wise on the X and Y axis here to make sure they're lined up correctly. So, you can fit as many as you'd like, continuing to do that, continuing to adding layers here. If you want them to change, you can also do that simply by, dragging, someone here this would take some editing time, of course. And then positioning them where they need to go, next. So for example, if I want him, here I'll save the changes from, if I want him to take over this blue screen here on the top right, I would simply need to make sure I put them exactly in the same position. Wherever this blue one ends, I can simply go in here, put them in the right position. I'm sort of guessing right now, right? But you can even put in a transition in there. You can put them together, put a transition. Now, you can, of course, smooth this out. Right now, I'm doing it fairly quickly, but you can get here if I play this, sort of the idea of what that looks like. Let's see, my laptop is overheating, so it's kind of, not going here. Well, I can show you this anyway here with the cursor, right? So it would essentially transition from one person into another in that square space, right? So a lot you can do here with the way you position your, your clips, the duration of it, the length of it, all that good stuff. You can, do that in those ways that I've just sort of showed you there.
Great.
Other questions?
Yeah, I got one in regards, this one's from Aiden. It was regarding about changing the frames per second FPS. I believe it's like 25. That's what he mentioned. Is there an option to do that?
So I believe it's actually 30 frames per second. That's the standard. I know a lot of times we get questions about, can we increase that to 60 or something else? Right now, 30 is the limit. It is something that, we hear here and there. Usually it's from someone doing more advanced, maybe an advanced media class. Typically, the 30 frames works for, regular type videos. And it's sometimes, those guys that are, doing specific edits. Maybe it is a media class specifically for editing, something like that. We are capped at 30. It is something that is in our radar. Again, one of those things that we hear ever so often here and there. Unfortunately, right now we can't increase that to anything higher than that. Yeah.
Okay. We also had one question. I believe it's Flipgrid related. Can we use? Let me see. Sorry, kind of lost it there somewhere. They use Flipgrid. Can they include a Flipgrid video into WeVideo?
Yeah, so you can have any media that you have, you can upload to WeVideo. Whether it's a Flipgrid video or a video you recorded on your phone, whatever that may be, it's still a raw file, right, of media. So all you have to do is go to your media tab. If that's saved in your laptop, perfect. You can just click the plus sign, browse it here, import it. Once you get that video in here, the file will be playable, and then you can use it to edit it further there. So I guess to add to that, it doesn't really matter where your files are coming from. If you have access to it, if you have that file in your possession, then you can upload it to WeVideo and use it as needed.
Great. Let's see. Trying to see if there's any new questions. So when you record your screen and yourself, are there two different videos when saved to WeVideo?
Great question. So I'm actually right here, so I can just click it right here really quickly. So if you do the webcam or the screencasting, there's only going to be one video, right? It's going to be either the screen or the webcam. If you do both, then yes, you're going to have one video for the screencasting and one video for the webcam. They're going to come in together. So when you finish the recording, you'll find it here. It'll also be placed in the editor here. You can delete it if you don't want it there. But yeah, you'll have one of each that you can use together or individually.
And also, how do we edit our own audio in WeVideo?
So the audio here, I'm in here so I can use an example already. So let's see, I'm gonna go ahead and grab any piece of audio here. In this case, it's a song here. Again, I'm not sure if you, can you guys, Ricky, can you hear that when I play it?
I
Probably
cannot.
not.
Probably
Yeah,
not.
didn't think so. So for audio, again, you drop it in the audio section here. And for this, there's only so much editing you can do to the actual audio file. Of course, you can mute it, decrease the volume, that type of thing. As I showed earlier, you can add different points by clicking on the blue line there, in case you want to do fade ins and fade outs, as needed. You can of course cut it anywhere that you need to. So if you just want to, let's say I wanted to end there, you can click the scissors to cut, right? Delete the rest, or you can go to the edges and sort of bring it in and cut it that way as well. You don't have to use the scissors. And then of course at the end you can also do, as I showed earlier, fade ins, fade outs, things like that. As far as anything else, there's not much really you can do beyond that, besides playing with the volume, the fade ins, cutting it, chopping it up as needed, placing it, underneath the clips where you want it to play.
Mm-hmm. If you replenish a video, does it replace the original or is it another version? Republish, sorry, republish.
You get a new version of it, so you would have two. You can keep both or delete both, or delete just one and keep the better one that you like. And that's a good point. If you ever publish a video, so for example, if I went back to that video I was working on earlier, which was this one here, and I published the video, oops, I backed out. So you click on finish up here, you publish the video, right? When it's done exporting, it's going to be here in the exports. You can view it here, make sure it looks good. If for whatever reason you didn't like it or there was something, other tweaks that you needed to do, so long as you don't delete your edit, you have the ability to go back and retouch it and republish it as much as you'd like. You just have to go back to the projects, find where you have that particular edit. Here it is. And now I can jump back in there and continue to edit. The other thing you can do is you can actually duplicate this in case you wanted maybe something similar, but just change up the version a little bit. So if you right click here, notice I can click duplicate, and now I have two versions of this edit. I can now maybe work on this one, change it up a little bit, or do something like that.
Cool. So if I'm using a webcam and screen recordings for a video, I know I can resize to move around, but is it possible for to crop and reshape those videos, turn them from rectangular to something like square, for example?
So again, the cropping will be what I showed earlier.
Yeah.
The cropping that we have available now is the same that you're going to be able to do with any form of media that you bring in.
Cool. And it's actually a really good question. It was something in regards to, I believe they are trying to see if they can get like a PD certificate for the webinar as well. I just thought it'd be a great question to bring it up since everyone's still on.
That is a great question. So, we've been having these webinars for a while now, a couple of weeks. We don't have nothing right now, but we are working on it. So everyone here will be receiving some sort of certificate, an hour completion of PD training. We don't have it yet. It's actually, we're working on it right now as we speak, getting that together. So don't worry about that, not receiving it. We will be sending it to everyone who registered today and who attended via email. We have your emails here, so just be on the lookout. I'm not sure exactly when it'll be sent out. It's not something that we initially thought of. It was a question brought up by a teacher last week or so, and then a few others down the road as well. So in work in progress, don't worry, we will send you. It'll have the session you attended. So in this case, that you attended the editor workshop. It'll have the date, the time, the length, all that good stuff. So yeah, just be on the lookout for one of those.
And then it says, can I delete exported videos? If so, will that add time back to my monthly limit?
You can delete any exports that you have here. However, you won't get that time back. As you probably know, you have a limited time to publish.
Mm-hmm.
As an example, with my account here, this top ring is your use time. And this is based on the number of seats that you have. My account, this one that I'm logged into, has 50 seats. That means I have 50 hours worth of publishing time per month. If you have 1,000 seats, you have 1,000 hours, etc. Now, it won't give you your time back, but publishing shouldn't be an issue. Obviously it resets every month. And so, you're gonna get that time back anyway at the end of the month, each month. This is all shared too, so you're not limited to an hour of publishing. As a user, you can publish as much as you like, so long as you have the time here.
Yep. I think that's pretty much about it, all of all the questions.
Awesome. So yeah, we can go ahead and give anyone else a minute here. If you have other questions, please feel free to type them in. Ricky and I can go through them. If there's no other questions, then I want to thank everyone for being here today. I hope today was helpful, beneficial.
Yeah.
I hope everyone already has access to their account so they can start trying some of these. We will be making these recordings available at some point. So if you ever needed to come back, you can rewatch them. And we'll make an announcement of when that is, where they live, etc. But at some point we will have this one as well live. As I mentioned earlier, we do have other sessions. If you're an admin, we do have an admin specific webinar. That one happens every Monday. If you're still working on setting up your account, I highly recommend joining that one. If you're a teacher, I highly recommend joining the teacher webinar. That one happens every Tuesday. And you can register the same page that you registered for today's webinar. That way you can get the full sort of overview depending on your role within your account. Today you got the editor. Next week or some other time you can get the admin or the teacher version of this. I don't think I've seen any other questions. So on behalf of Ricky and myself, again, I want to thank everyone for joining today. I hope everyone's staying safe. Know that we're here as a resource. We want to make sure everyone gets to take full advantage of their account. So, if you run into any issues or questions, please feel free to reach out. Whether it's Ricky or myself or someone else from our staff, we'll be happy to help and address anything that comes up. And all right, no further questions. Perfect. So I'm gonna get ready to end the webinar here. Again, thanks everyone. Stay safe. I'm sure we'll be in touch sometime down the road, one way or another. Bye everyone.
Bye.